Welcome into this Monday edition Oxford Exxon podcast. Chase Parham and Neal McCready. Neal's in the Clark Ford studio. Today we will discuss a good bit of SEC college football, the SEC flexing its collective muscle with the Big Ten at the negotiating table from a college football playoff standpoint. You've got several new rule changes probably going into effect here in the camera already blurry into the next couple months and weeks as well. So a little bit of news actually coming out over the weekend for here in early March. Ole Miss men's basketball kind of avoided a flat line in Columbia, Missouri on Saturday night, and then the baseball team winning a series from Iowa, 2 out of 3, losing Friday, and what was setting college baseball back 50 years in a game, and then winning on Saturday and Sunday to take the series. So all that and much more coming up to today. As you noticed on our welcome screen, if you're in the stream, we are doing some transitioning into some blue sky things from a podcast standpoint. Oxford Exxon's still there, still on Highway 6 West, but as we've told you for a long time about our origin story with the Craddocks and with the Oxford Exxon and all blue sky locations, when we got started, we didn't realize the scope of this thing, the length of this thing. Hoped for it, but didn't know it. How we would grow, how they would grow. So over the next weeks, you'll see a bit of a transition as we start talking about more blue sky locations, more of a statewide emphasis on telling you what's going on up and down I-55 throughout North Mississippi as well. There with all the blue sky C-stores in Mississippi. So just be aware of that. Still same partnership, still same great people, still great to us. Just giving you a heads up on what you'll see as we sort of get everything in place for what should be a very entertaining and exciting football season for you guys here starting in the fall. But a few months away from that. But anyway, all that and more coming up on today's show. The Oxford Exxon and all blue sky locations, Sweet Daddies, ribs, pulled pork, lunch specials. You know the drill there. And again, Neal is in the Clark Ford studio.
I am Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900. Call that number. Ask for our buddy Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. Right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote. And the rest is up to you. You can shop that quote around. You can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that's get into a Clark Ford today. Corey and the people there are fantastic. Great service. Obviously, the product is excellent. They want to build a long-term relationship with you. They want to be your car guy. They want to be your truck guy. They'll prove to you what that means when you make the call. 662-257-1900. Guest will join on the Campbell Clinic hotline. The Campbell Clinic is in Oxford now, 2608 South Lamar Boulevard, Suite 102, just across the street from the cottages at Hooper Hollow. The Campbell Clinic provides full-service orthopedic care, everything from sports medicine to foot and ankle surgery to spine and total joint care, pediatric orthopedics, physical therapy, and more. To book an appointment, go to campbellclinicoxford.com or call 901-759-3111. Walk-ins always welcome at the Campbell Clinic, Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m.
I think my voice is going to hold up, but if I crack and sound like a Brady brother a little bit, I'm a little under the weather. I told Neal before we got started that when you live with a 7-year-old, you just stay perpetually sick to some extent. So I have learned that. I thought I had a really good immune system. Apparently, I don't have a parenthood immune system because it's just kind of constant to some degree right now. But it's okay. We'll get through it.
You know, the vid's going around town again.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're going to avoid that. At least any documentation or verification of said thing. Yeah. I'm pretty sure on that. So
Carter was sick last week, and he had to go to the doctor, and he said they wanted to test, and he said, "Do I test for it?" We were like, "Nope."
I'm a little. I mean, I'm trying to avoid the word because we get flagged and we get a bunch of stuff put on the bottom of the screen. I'm a little surprised they're even doing that simply because, I mean, it's true. Because
YouTube is still very obsessed with it.
Yeah. So anyway, let's see. Getting asked a couple questions here, then we'll get into the news. What's your prediction down the road with Mississippi College series at Trustmark? Now that the Braves are leaving, I don't know. I said this a few weeks ago. Somebody had posted they think they ought to retrofit Trustmark Park and do like soccer, move the Berea there from Clinton, maybe do some big high school football games there, some baseball stuff, kind of make it an all-purpose area for Central Mississippi. Now again, I know nothing about the logistics or price or anything of that, but otherwise, you've got a pretty nice little stadium sitting there, mostly empty. So I will be curious to see what the Jackson area and Pearl does with that stadium. My hunch is that series can continue because it was the outside group, I forget their name, that ran those events or runs those events, but I don't know any answer to that at all. Some people asking about Andrew Fischer. He's okay. Took a fastball to the ear hole yesterday during the game. Pretty scary moment for a minute or two there. He got hit, went down to the ground, was down on the ground for probably 2-3 minutes, maybe something like that. They got him sitting up, got him off the field. Mike said afterward that he has a punctured eardrum on that side where it hit him in the ear hole. Said that he's going to see an ENT today, but he does not anticipate him to miss time unless he has concussion symptoms, but barring a concussion, should not actually miss time from the eardrum. I talked to local ENT Ford Dye yesterday, who told me that he had not seen Fischer, not a HIPAA thing, but in general, just talking about an eardrum situation, that a punctured eardrum does not cause any missed time. Said it's almost kind of similar to having tubes, because you just, like, it's whatever. They keep it dry, they let it heal on its own over a few months. So as long as there's not facial weakness or dizziness or other symptoms to go along with that on a side standpoint, he should be okay to play pretty immediately there. So it turned out as well as it could have, because I mean, honestly, it was a pretty tough moment for about a minute and a half there when he was on the ground yesterday. But he appears to be okay. Also seeing in the stream, yes, Chris Mortensen passes away over the weekend. He's been sick for a while now. Pretty well documented health struggles over the last few years. Did you ever have contact with him, Neil?
I have. I met him a couple times when I was covering the Saints. I mean, obviously, I was nobody. But he was one of those people that was always super nice to everyone. I knew no one in any NFL circles who had anything negative to say about Chris Mortensen whatsoever. Was also a terrific family guy. Was very, very close with his son, obviously Alex, who's in football coaching somewhere. Yeah, was an absolute pioneer. I mean, at the time when I think he started in '91 at ESPN. And at the time, he was one of the first big newspaper guys to go to TV, and really revolutionized the reporting aspect of breaking news on television. Because before that, those guys were just, I mean, no offense to TV people, but they would just throw stuff out there like, oh, well, if it's true, it's true. If it's not, it's not, whatever. And he kind of revolutionized that. I mean, he was the guy that paved the way for Adrian Wojnarowski and Shams Charania and Adam Schefter and all of the people that you see on television that are now breaking news guys.
Yeah, somebody had said, it was in something this morning I read on the internet. I forget where it was, but it shows you the power of back when we didn't have so many screen options. Because it's true. I mean, you got up on Sunday morning and you watched Mortensen, and you watched Hammer and Hake do his picks, and Berman, and the whole deal, and Mortensen's going to come on, he's going to break some news right there on air, and we're going to go to the football, and it's what everybody did. We all watched those things, and we did it together in real time, and you weren't looking down at phones and trying to find out stuff beforehand. There was no beforehand. I mean, he came along and was very good, and stayed relevant through that change, which is very hard to do, very difficult. It takes a very special talent. I mean, it's kind of what everybody talked about. It's sort of the one personification of that as he broke the Peyton Manning retirement news from his hospital bed when he was sick a few years ago. I mean, he transitioning eras like that at a national competitive level is just so difficult, and he did it very, very well.
Yeah, he was, I think, a Falcons beat writer for a long time in the '80s. And then they made him a national guy, and then he went to the what was the news? The big national. It might have been called the National, the newspaper. That was sort of the.
Oh, he did that startup that tried to whatever. Okay.
It was fantastic. It just didn't work, but the quality was great. But he did that, and then ESPN hired him, and he was with them forever.
Yeah, I think I was just too young, assuming that it was actually good, because I haven't gone back and watched, but I feel like if I'd been a little older, that Sunday Sports Reporters would have been really interesting to me, but I was a little too young to really grasp that at the time. That my age range did not fit that when it was in its prime.
Oh, that show was like must-watch television. I mean, it
Yeah.
was pretty good stuff. Mike Lupica and Jeremy Schaap and all those guys would argue, and now that you sort of know about those people, you're like, God, I wish I had some of that time back, but it doesn't work like that.
It was a little more of an honest portrayal of the arguing TV show, wasn't it? It was a trailblazer, but it also was the pinnacle at the same time, wasn't it? Like it
For sure.
yeah,
No, I mean,
yeah.
they did it well. It was a good show, and then everybody had their like hot takes at the end. It was nothing. Again, it's not my cup of tea, but like I have nothing really negative to say about the Skip Baylesses and Shannon Sharps of the world. I mean, I can't. Stephen A. Smith, their job is get worked up every single day about everything, and set the plate for the rest of the day. And that's a difficult assignment. I mean, to be that versed on everything that you can even conjure up some hot opinion about. Like, for example, the whole Caitlyn Clark, Pete Maravich thing.
Yeah.
I just can't. I don't have a hot take on that. I mean, no, is she as good as Pete Maravich? Of course not. Is what she did remarkable? Of course. She should be, to me, she should just be this incredible role model for girls and young women. Sure. That's what she should be. That's what. And if I'm the WNBA, if I'm the, what's it called, the Indiana Fever, I think they have the first pick.
Correct. Yeah.
This is already done. Her stuff is on my site. She's going to save my
It is
franchise.
already done. Yeah. It's done.
I mean, that's the story. But obviously, I mean, well, you have these people that are outraged that she broke Maravich's record, and we have to put number one, who sits around all day reading record books? Out of curiosity. I don't know why we do this.
Well, I told you this on Thursday. Dan Wolken had the best take of anyone on this. It's the damnedest thing, and it remains true 4 days later. It just does. It's reality. It is just where we are right there. It's not a hot take, but I do have a thought on that, and I didn't know we were going to this in the first 10 minutes, but sure, whatever. I had this written down. I tell you what's bugging me, though, a little bit about sports and society with this. And I think it parlays into what you just talked about. Because, look, the Sports Reporters was at least, I mean, I've seen enough of it. I mean, I just said I didn't watch it because of my age, but I've seen enough of it to know you felt like you were getting honest commentary at the time. You know what I mean? Where they were giving true opinions. And then you get probably PTI next. So you get Kornheiser and Wilbon, and it was kind of the move toward what we have today. And you could at least convince yourself that they were telling you what they truly thought, even though there's no way they disagreed on every damn topic every single day. But it was within range enough that you could get there. And then now you go, okay, absolutely, Stephen A. and Bayless and all these people, they're just spouting off crap to make sure they keep the day running and everything, whatever. And I think that's the problem that I get fed up with. In some ways, the Caitlyn Clark conversation, some ways, some other things. And it's that everything has to be hyperbolic and better without context. We cannot just simply provide context, say this is this, and put this in this gap. Because look, it happened, and I'm not upset about this. This is not like some negative toward them. The women's basketball team at Ole Miss has done a hell of a job this year. They're 12-4 in the SEC. They lost their starting point guard, KK Deans, at the beginning of the season. She's done a phenomenal job, regardless of anything else. Phenomenal. It's her best coaching job by far. They moved to 12-4 yesterday, and you saw all these stories about it's the most wins that they've ever had in conference history, which is true. But they went 11-0 in 1992. They just didn't play as many games, and it's not minimizing what they're doing now. But I'm getting frustrated in general in sports by the lack of context on eras to claim something right now as the best ever no matter what. Because Van Chancellor's 1992 team would not have finished 1-3 down the stretch had they played more games. They went 11-0. They beat Tennessee. But that doesn't take anything away from what Coach O and her team is doing right now at the same time in any manner either. You just don't have to necessarily butt everything up in heads to each other. And it was the deal with Caitlyn Clark yesterday. Is that, yeah, she passes it. She's got tons of points. She's great. She's whatever. Frankly, her more impressive thing is that she's also going to lead the country in assists for 2 of her 4 seasons. It rolls against some of the ball hog nature. She takes like 22 shots a game. It's nothing crazy. So it's the lack of overall context. We caught it in the fall a little bit, and you and I handled it well. And look, most of our people, I'm preaching to choir because you guys understood it too, but there were certain people and places out there that want to go, well, was the 11-2 or was the 11-win season better than the 10-0 team in the 1960s? And you're going, it's just different. Like, I don't know, it's just different. I don't know what was a bigger accomplishment here or there or anything else, and we are determined to pigeonhole everything into being a direct comparison, and it in some ways drives me freaking crazy.
There's this desire among some, and I guess it's a need for content, to rank everything. Let's rank the top 50 Major League Baseball players of all time. Okay, where's Lou Gehrig? How the hell do you do this? And why the hell do you do this? Like, what's the point? It's to me, it's not even a compelling argument. I don't know. I mean, I never saw Gehrig play, right? There's no video of Gehrig really playing. You just trust the history books that he was amazing. I mean, sometimes MLB, especially in the offseason, the MLB Network will show some old game. Mm-hmm. And there was this game that shows a World Series game where Sandy Koufax pitching against, I want to say, the Minnesota Twins. And his curveball was doing all this stuff. But the era looked so completely different that, I don't know. I mean, how do you compare Sandy Koufax to a great left-hander today, or to Steve Carlton, or you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, there's a certain nostalgia that comes with things, but yeah, you can't compare the 1964 Ole Miss team or whatever team won. I don't know my history. I apologize. To the 2023 team, the eras are so different. They don't even play the same game, really. Mm-hmm. So you just let it be. It's one of the things that's, to me, maddening about like the recruiting cycle, because the recruiting cycle is getting started again today. The dead period's over. Kids can start taking visits. They have spring break. They take some visits in spring break. Spring practices are about to start. It has already started at some places. I called Gabe about something on Friday, and there's like whistles and stuff in the background. I'm like, where are you? He's like, football practice. I'm like, oh, dude, I'm so sorry. It's like I've just taken for granted that hasn't started yet. And, but, kids are going to be taking visits. And so this is going to come across as a criticism, and I don't mean for it to. I really don't. Chase will have to vouch for me here. I don't pay attention to it. I don't look at other sites. But the whole crystal balling thing is about to get started. And we do it, too, at Rivals. I don't know what it's called. What do we do?
Futurecast.
Futurecast. I think I've done 2 ever. I'm never doing another one. So I don't pay attention to who Futurecast or Crystal Balls, but it's this manufactured drama is what it is. And a kid's going to commit in March in an era when the transfer – Ole Miss literally had guys commit in the transfer portal, come to Oxford, and leave to go somewhere else days later. I don't know how you can look at recruiting and a kid commits in March and go, okay, well, let's evaluate how that impacts the program. In an era when as of today, there are unlimited transfers, it doesn't impact your program. It's a potential piece that might be there for a year or longer, or could leave could leave at any point before classes start. It's conceivable that a kid could sign in December, enroll in January, leave in the spring without ever playing, and go to a rival, and then transfer back to you a year later. That's now completely on the table. So the whole recruiting thing, like getting, and I don't get me wrong, we're going to cover it. We're going to cover it. We're going to cover it. We're going to cover it breathlessly as the closer it gets to signing day. Promise. But I don't know how you cannot put context on recruiting as it happens now. It doesn't mean what it even meant a year ago because there are unlimited transfers.
It combines exactly with what you said a second ago, though. The point is engagement, people talking about it. Are you right? Are you wrong? It drums up message board views. Good for business. And then it allows people to write the column and go, hey, I futurecast or crystal ball this because, and it's an extra content item, it's extra everything coming back, and you go in a big circle. So you're essentially aggregating yourself when you do that to then create buzz and things inside the business. I mean, that's why they do. Like to the point is, the news value is frankly secondary beyond secondary.
Yes.
In almost every instance. It's for the other reasons that we are compelled there. And it's, I mean, as we go to break in a second, it's why it's a good point from the thing is all the news today is opinions. Like, where do you go to get actual news? I mean, there was a news story from, and I mean, as I mentioned last week, I'm a little disconnected on exactly where to go most of the time, but there was a news story on Wednesday or Thursday, and my inability to simply Google that and find an AP type style story that simply just told me what the hell happened. I had to look around for like 10 minutes and I'm going, oh my God, everybody's opining and having this thought. Somebody just tell me what the hell the 10 facts are of this, and then I'll go from there. And I did. I had a terrible time finding like, okay, what led us here? What happened? And that wasn't the point. I'm beginning to think you need to go to a Google search and go to like page 5 automatically. Just avoid the first page with all the hits and clicks or whatever and see what's downstream at that point. But anyway, it's where we are.
The word that you use that is the right word is manufactured.
Yes.
It's not organic drama. It's manufactured drama.
Yeah.
And I'm fine. I mean, it's probably good business for those that do it. It probably gets people worked up and hitting the refresh button and getting the clicks, and it probably works in that regard. It's for more old school reporters, and I'm certainly one, and I think you're kind of spiritually one.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, well, I don't know why we're doing this. I don't really understand it. I mean, we're putting in I'll use the rivals term so I don't look like I'm picking with someone else. We'll put in these futurecast in March. I mean, like Ole Miss, for example, even if a kid commits to Ole Miss in June, they continue to recruit. And if they find and they continue to evaluate, I think it's frankly one of the things that Lane Kiffin and his staff do really, really well. But they've dropped guys essentially days before signing day because they just decided that they didn't think he could play for them.
Yeah.
That's happened. And so in an era when you know that can happen, it's one of the things I'm kind of curious to ask him about. I know we got to go to a break. I'm kind of curious to ask him about this proposal to have an early signing day, like guys sign in July.
Yeah, I've got that June. Up for the next topic. Yeah, June.
We'll tease it here then. I'd love to know his thoughts on it because they continue to evaluate, and you commit to a kid in July or June, and then it doesn't really kind of work out. You're stuck with them if they sign the paper.
100%. Yeah, I'm actually would be shocked to see coaches want that, even though it takes that off the plate as far as you continue to recruit to the level. So there's some give or take there. I'd be fascinated to know what the top coaches that use both high school recruiting and the portal or the mixture of both think in that regard. So we'll hit that. I'll give you a little more of the details after the break. First, this show is sponsored by BetterHelp. If you had an extra hour in the day, what would you do with it? Would you go for a run, take a nap, read a book, show up for a friend? We spend a lot of time wishing we had more time, but if so, how do we use it? Best way to squeeze that special thing in your schedules, know what's important and make a priority. Watch podcasts all the time. It talks about if you want to do something, you will make time for it, and therapy can help you find what matters to you so you can do more of that. Therapy is a great way to get honest feedback. You don't have preconceived notions with family members or friends, people who already kind of want to tell you what they think. Nope, it's a clean slate. BetterHelp is a way to give you what you need in that. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give them a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist. You can even switch therapists anytime for no additional charge, video on or off, whatever you need it to be. So learn to make time for what makes you happy. with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/MPW to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/MPW.
Our next partner is Athletic Greens. I drink AG1 by Athletic Greens literally every day. I gave AG1 a try because I wanted better gut health, sustained energy, immune system support, and I hate taking those big supplement pills. I drink AG1 every morning. I love knowing I'm doing something good for my body, giving my body the nutrition it craves, covering my nutritional bases. Covering my nutritional basis for the day literally couldn't be easier, which is why I trust Athletic Greens. I just mix 1 small scoop of AG1 with water, drink it first thing each morning, done. I also like that it costs less than $3 a day. It's pretty good. If you ask me, it's a really effective daily habit with the highest quality sourced ingredients. It's a win-win. If a comprehensive solution is what you need for your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/MPW. That's athleticgreens.com/MPW. Check it out. We're also brought to you by Andrew Seago Wealth Management. He sponsors my 10 Weekend Thoughts, which are up at rebelgrove.com. Are you retiring soon? How long should you wait to take Social Security? What accounts should you pull from first? Are you already retired? Should you consider Roth conversions? These are just some of the questions that can only be answered with the personalized retirement income plan. Andrew Seago with Seago Wealth Management specializes in helping folks just like you come up with their retirement game plan. Whether you meet at his office in Collierville or prefer Zoom from anywhere, schedule a free discovery meeting and see what they can do for you. It's rebelsretire.com. Also brought to you by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating, different names, same great people, products, and services. If you live in Oxford, Batesville, Tupelo, or the surrounding area, call Comer 662-801-1777. If you live in Hernando, Memphis, or the surrounding area, call Southern 662-429-4429. And we're brought to you by the College Corner. The College Corner in Oxford now. If you're coming up for basketball this weekend, for baseball, stop by the College Corner right off of Sisk Avenue at the Oxford Commons. More than 4,000 square feet of the best Rebel gear. Plenty of parking available to have you in and out and ready for action in no time. You can also go to the 2 locations in the Jackson area or online, collegecornerstore.com.
So what I did not notice this, and I guess, is it called the competition committee? Is that who oversees these rule changes? Isn't that correct? Something like that?
That sounds right. All
right, we'll go with that. So here's the things that came up over the weekend. This was in a couple different stories. I'm a little sick. I'm not tired. I slept fine. I've been on NyQuil the last 2 nights. So like you're asleep, but you're not in that good sleep. You're just asleep getting bad sleep at the same time. So yeah, I probably look like I'm been on a bender, but I'm not. I'm a little tired.
You watching Thunder Suns last night, didn't you?
I was completely locked in. I was so excited about my Celtics routing the Warriors yesterday. I mean, we were rolling with all the NBA. No, I think I was in bed at like 8:50 yesterday. So yeah, no, I'm hanging in. It's all good. Look, I love college baseball. Iowa's bullpen made me ready to go for 3 straight days to a level that I don't have words for. I mean, we'll get to that in a little bit, but that was a tough watch once you got out of the Hawkeyes starting pitching over the weekend. So a couple different things here. First is, and I think this one's good. Speaking to what you just spoke to a minute ago, they're going to probably make or allow portal transfers sign NILs in December. Oh, sorry, NLIs, National Letters of Intent. My apologies. New rule for that. You good?
I mean, sure.
You got a negative there. What is it?
Well, I mean, I don't. Is it enforceable? Nothing seems all that enforceable. So let's say
that's fair. That's fair.
Let's say you sign a guy to a NLI, and then he gets there and decides he wants to do something else. Is it really enforceable?
Right now, nothing's enforceable. So fair, good point. But in theory, I don't mind it.
In theory, it's fine. I mean, you basically sign, you're done. You can move on. Now, you commit, and then everyone continues to offer you more money, and you get to the place where you're going to go, and it gets real because they're not kissing your ass every 5 seconds, and maybe the deal wasn't exactly what you thought it was going to be, and you decide to shop around. I mean, it happened. It happens everywhere. I don't, and there's nothing stopping you from, as long as you don't enroll in class, the way that the transfer rules are today, as long as you don't start classes, you can transfer 3-4 times in January.
I'm just thinking out loud here, and this is down a different rabbit hole than I'm necessarily going down at this moment, but could a collective require you to sign an NLI to get paid, or would that technically be performance-based in a way and be illegal?
I don't know. I think they could. I think they could. One of the things that's interesting is there's some allegations out there that some of these collectives, that if you read the deals that they have with players, they are performance-based. It's frankly, if the NCAA wanted to flex its muscle, that's where it could. But they don't want to go there.
Yeah.
They don't want to do that. I mean, there are performance enhancements in some of these collective deals, from what I've heard.
Yeah.
And the language when it first came out was that it couldn't be, absolutely could not be performance-based.
Well, I know a school, or I have been told, and I trust the source on a school, I have not actually seen the contracts, that in a non-full scholarship sport, NIL is tied to making the roster. To me, that is performance-based. That if you have to actually make the active roster, that is a performance inducement.
Yeah.
Because that requires something. You're not simply there on campus using your marketing acumen at that point. So
no. I mean, and I think my guess is that happens at a lot of places.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And, I mean, the NCAA basically signed a deal last week that sent a note to all the schools that basically said, hey, there are no rules.
Yeah.
Do what you want to do. We wash our hands of this. We really need to put this back in-house. We've got to quit depending on Congress. We got to do this ourselves. That's essentially what it said. But if you boil it down to what did Charlie Baker's letter say, there are no rules.
Yes. We have no rules. We're trying to figure it out. We'll let you know. Cool. Capiche? Got it. What about this one? Obviously, Ole Miss has been in the news with this. Hurry-up offenses and always have been in the news with this. They are contemplating a penalty to some degree, penalize a team for fake injuries. Essentially, if you have an injury, you would be out the remainder of the possession unless you call a timeout. You good there?
Yeah, good with that.
Yeah, I think I'm good with that too.
Good with that. Because I don't want to get into the deal where we're trying to determine if an injury is fake or not.
No. Yeah, hey, is that a real cramp? Good freaking luck. I mean.
Yeah, because sometimes there is a real injury, and you don't want to do that. But yeah, no, if you have an injury timeout, you can't play the rest of that possession for it completely.
Yes. Timeout can get the person back on the field.
I would even like it where you couldn't play the rest of the possession. But
no matter what.
Timeout's fine. That's fine. I'm good with that.
Okay. As you said, they are contemplating 3 signing days, which when you get to 3 signing days, you're essentially admitting that signing days don't matter. Because when you get to a certain number, you're just going, okay, fine, whatever. They would be in June, November, and February.
November?
I'm reading from D1 Ticker. I don't know. It said November.
I thought it was going to be the Wednesday of championship week. Which,
maybe so. Either way.
But what I mean, it's fine. Look, I from a personal standpoint, great. I'm curious, how many kids do you really want to sign in June? Like, you're only signing the can't miss high level kid in June.
Yeah.
I'm for the earlier December thing because I'm sick of having to do this like the days leading up to Christmas. It's not. Just personally, I can't stand it. I've heard other coaches say that too. The portal's going full speed at that point. They're trying to figure the portal out, and you're having to manage the high school stuff, and you have holidays, and you're kind of starting to get into bowl prep. And if you're a playoff team, you're going to be deep in the regular time. You're going to be deep into playoff prep. at that point, actually getting ready to play a playoff game. So I'm good with that. And then I don't even the February one is okay. I think
Ole
they should
Miss
just
literally did not sign a person last month.
yeah. I mean, I sent a here was my February signing day coverage. 2 texts. You guys doing anything? Answer back, no. Cool. Thank you. Peace. I mean, there's nothing. Now, if you had a coaching change in January, I guess it's conceivable that February could be pretty big. But with the portal the way that it is today, mostly they're using the portal. I mean, we still have another portal period coming.
Yeah.
I wrote this in 10 thoughts. And now that there's no transfer rules, a year ago, you were like, well, I mean, Walker Howard's already transferred once. Well, now he can transfer again. He can go through spring and go, you know what? I don't even think I'm going to be the backup. I'm not saying this is going to happen, by the way. I'm just a hypothetical. I don't think I'm even going to be the backup. Another school has reached out to my contacts and said, hey, you'd start here. He can jump in the portal and go again.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, he could transfer back to LSU, hypothetically. He's not going to. That's not what I'm saying. But you get my point. I don't. The whole roster building from with unlimited transfers is made it where I don't even know how you can even. I don't know how you can even really plan your roster.
Right. The one other one is, and I don't care. I just want some semantics to stop calling them analysts. It would allow analysts to give on-field coaching instruction and practices. Okay, fine, but can we just say we're upping the coaching staff to whatever damn number you want to up it to? Can we not call them analysts in that vein?
Yeah, just do what the NFL does.
That's fine. I don't care. Just call them coaches.
Have an assistant running backs coach.
Yeah.
It's cool. Whatever. Who cares?
I'm all good.
Yeah.
So that's fine. Go ahead. Probably happening anyway. I mean, come on.
Of course.
Tell me the former head coach somewhere when he sees the running back then go, hey, here's how blah, blah, blah. I mean, whatever. Sure, come on.
Right.
Give me a break.
Is that it?
Overall, I'm good. Yeah, those are the rule changes. It's all good.
And they're allowing the headset thing, right? With the communication.
Yeah, but, that one's one. Lane chose not to even do it for the Peach Bowl when given the opportunity. When did the Peach Bowl? Yeah. I for a hurry-up offense, it makes no sense. You're trying to beat the ability to do that in a quicker vein. I mean, I guess having it's better than not having it, but no, I don't think that's a big deal. I saw they got pushback. Steve Shaw saying that even though a 2-minute warning is coming, they're not going to go to commercial during that 2-minute warning. I will believe that when I see it, but
I don't believe
sure.
that. Sure.
Because, yes, we spent all last year going, nope, we're going to quicken this bitch up, and then now we're going to go, yep, 2-minute warning, commercial. I'm like, come on, shut up. So they're saying, nope, we're not adding a commercial break. Yeah, right. Okay.
No, I don't believe you.
I don't either. No. You're going to come back later and go, we blah, blah, and you're going to come up with some whatever.
The 2-minute warning brought to you by Bud Light. Bud Light.
Yes. Yeah. Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah.
Woo! And then, yes, the iPads on the sidelines. Sure, why not? I mean, frankly, the fact that hasn't already been the case is one of the more mind-boggling things that exist. So, yeah, we're cool there. No problems whatsoever.
It's fine.
We'll make it a full college football segment. The SEC and Big Ten decided they're going to throw some weight around over the weekend. They met last week, I think in Dallas. Don't we always meet in Dallas? Isn't that where everything happens?
Yeah, they usually go to Dallas and get together.
Okay.
It's easy to fly.
Commissioners, Jack Swarbrick.
Easy to get to Dallas.
So, they do a Marriott or a Hilton? What's the...
Probably Marriott. They seem to be very Marriott obsessed.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So, here's the latest. We mentioned on Wednesday or Thursday that a 14-team playoff has started to gain some traction, or at least is the one that they are trial ballooning around the media and fan world right now. I don't know which one's true, but either way, that's what they are floating as a 14-team playoff, starting in 2026, I think, is the time frame on that.
That's
and
correct.
I don't think that Neil and I have a big disagreement or a difference of opinion here, but I just kind of find it weird and dumb in a way. He wrote about it in 10 Thoughts. You can find that at rebelgrove.com. The SEC and Big Ten say, sure, there's going to be 2 first-round byes, and everybody else is going to play in the first round. So 1 and 2 get byes, 3 through 14 all will play in the first round for games. The seeds there work just like in NCAA basketball. It's in the numbers that play each other, 3-14, 4-13, 5-12, on and on and on. But the rule is the SEC and Big Ten champions, no matter what, get the number 1 bye or the 2 byes, the number 1 seed and the number 2 seed, which move it to there. And Neil wrote that when you have the power, you might as well use it, and that you are giving, frankly, more than you have to in some areas to them in some other ways, because in this format, the SEC and Big Ten would each get 3 at-larges, guaranteed bids no matter what. The ACC and Big 12 would get 2 bids no matter what, and then there would be 3 at-large bids as well as the group of 5 automatic bid as well. So ACC and Big 12, 2 each. Yeah, Notre Dame guaranteed a spot if they're in the Final 14.
Which they would have been anyway. So a lot of this, I'm not going to interrupt your role here, but a lot of this is like, duh, with the exception of the second ACC and the second Big 12. Yes. It's where I kind of think the SEC and the Big 10 are like giving gifts away here.
Well, that's kind of my point, is that, yeah, you're giving some gifts away a little bit there to get this bye potentially, when I understand what you're saying, and I get using leverage. You're going to get these spots 9 out of 10 years anyway, so why even write it down and use that as this huge bargaining chip when you potentially give up something else? Like, that's what I don't get, is this was going to be the guaranteed thing 99.9999% of the time. So putting it in there, frankly, makes you look a little weird for no reason. I'm not agreeing with Pat Forty. He was losing his damn mind over something and whatever, but I can't agree with Forty and Wilkin in the same 5 days. But at the same time, it just doesn't make sense. I'm looking at it going, okay, but why?
What was 40 worked up about? If an ACC team deserved one of the byes, they should get it?
He was just worked up that the SEC and the Big Ten had the gall to go down this road and be this pompous and arrogant and demand these things, that it could not be serious and whatever. I don't know. I mean, I can find you some quotes, but that's the gist.
I don't need his quotes. It's okay. I'm cool without that. I just think, look, maybe there will be an arrow in the Big Ten and the SEC aren't the big boys, but right now they are. They've got all the power and they're using it. Frankly, they're not using as much of it as I would use if I were them. I don't know why you're giving a group of 5 school a bid. I wouldn't.
Pat's direct quote in one of the paragraphs: "This is next level gluttony and next level cowardice. The 2 most powerful conferences in America are scared to compete."
No, they're not. They win the whole thing every year. That's so stupid.
I guess my point is, like, I guess here's my deal: is it's clear they're not, the SEC and Big Ten do not believe they are negotiating, because if you're negotiating, you don't ask for something that doesn't matter, and this doesn't matter. You're going to get the 2 damn byes. So you don't think you're negotiating, and there are expert negotiators in that room, if you ask for this. Because all you're doing really is just putting your big stick on the table and going, we just kind of want this for the hell of it. Because it doesn't. This is optics to show the disparity, is what this is. Right? It's not actually a negotiating tactic, because it doesn't give you anything.
Right.
You're just toying with them now.
It's also conceivable that this is just their way of setting the stage for the big breakaway that everyone talks about, where it's like, okay, we gave you a chance. You didn't take it. We offered you a deal. You didn't take it.
Because that's what's happening, is the other conferences are going, nope, that's one we're not going to agree with. In some ways, that's what they're doing. They're implementing something that is dumb to the point that other people say no.
Sure. I mean, again, we've proven... Are you telling me that we're not going to watch the Big Ten SEC tournament because there's no ACC team in it?
We're going to watch.
I mean, are we really not going to watch the tournament because Liberty didn't get a bid? I mean, seriously? Are we really going to do that? Are we not going to watch the tournament because Boise State got left out? They're the best group of 5. They're not ranked number 19. Nobody's going to not watch that. Are we really going to get pissed off because the Big 12 didn't get a second team? No, the answer is no to all of those questions. So you have the power. You're basically going, hey, you can take this deal. It's free if you want. And of the at-larges, the SEC and the Big Ten are going to get at least 2 of the at-larges. I think there's going to be years where there's 5 SEC teams in a 14-team playoff.
Where you get the 3 and then the 2 more out of the 3 at-larges.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, in a 14-team playoff, let's say, okay, let's use Ole Miss as an example. Let's say we'll use next season's schedule as an example. Let's say Ole Miss loses at LSU. They get upset by Oklahoma at home.
They lose to Georgia.
And they lose to Georgia. Georgia goes 12-0. LSU and Oklahoma both go 11-1, 10-2.
Okay.
If you're 9-3 Ole Miss in that scenario, you're probably still top 14.
Yeah, you could sneak into one of those last couple spots.
Yeah, you're getting sent to go play number 3 Michigan in the first round.
Well, because Ole Miss would have done that in the past. In 14 and 15, they got access bowls because they were in the top whatever at 9-3.
Yeah,
those were the records.
10-2 Michigan that doesn't win the Big Ten, they're going to get an at-large even if they're not one of the top 3 automatics.
Yeah,
the numbers work themselves out that way. I don't know. I have a hard time putting a whole lot of energy into what's coming in 2026 because the sport is changing so rapidly that these proposals could be obsolete by the time that rolls around. Here's the Here's the question. Right now it's just one network, right? ESPN's that's doing the whole playoff?
Yeah.
What do they want? I mean, if they want 6 SEC teams and 6 Big Ten teams, that's what they're going to get.
Yeah, they have the ability to farm out the games to other networks for money, but they have the right of refusal on all of it.
Yeah,
so they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, ultimately they've got a huge seat at the table, and some of these committees they're justifying their existence.
Well, the meetings are like there's no reason for the meeting right now, frankly.
No, you get to go to Dallas, get away from the family a little bit, have a good steak dinner at the end of the day. Do some
real important stuff and get some cocktails and a steak and the whole deal. And
get a good bottle of wine at the end of the evening. You're all good. Sit around, tell some stories.
We survived Combine Week pretty well with not too many St. Elmo's references. Like we got through the week okay.
Yeah.
Without it just being the complete bastion of all things culinary. So we did all right.
There will come a time when, if Ole Miss continues this upward trajectory of that, we go cover the Combine. Like UGA, their rival site went and covered the Combine. There was actually a lot of stories there for them.
Well, yeah.
We just haven't gotten to that place yet. Like, Ole Miss had a couple of guys there, but I couldn't justify a trip to Indianapolis to talk to Cedric Johnson about his 40.
No. You think any GMs wrote off the dude from Texas Tech who said he didn't believe in space? Will that harm you in your draft possibilities?
What position does he play? Because if he's a wide receiver, I might take him because of that.
I think he's a defensive back, right?
So you got to be a certain degree of insane to play those positions.
Oh.
So maybe I don't mind the cornerback who doesn't believe in space.
Oh, I mean, my corner has got to forget immediately. Like, we don't overthink things. So yeah, let's just go.
Yeah, you need a corner that, if you ask him, hey, how many people live in this world? His answer is me.
Yeah.
Me? You're not even alive. You're talking to me, but you don't exist. You were just put here in this moment to interview me. But I don't know how you walk outside at night and think that space doesn't exist. Like, how do you just? I mean, what is all that in the skies? You can literally see multiple planets on a clear night sometimes. What's Jupiter when it's so bright up in the sky? If that's is it all
I know.
Okay, well then what's that?
I actually will accept the Laura Rutledge content with somebody eating really, really hot cocktail sauce for the first time. I'm fine with that. I'm good. No complaints at that one. That's fine. We didn't do the group shots and oh my God, this is all the most incredible thing because we're in Indianapolis. So we're cool. Look, some beats do it at St. Elmo's. Some beats do it at the Catfish Kitchen in Hoover. Okay, everybody has their culinary thing. It's just the way it works.
Our beat does not have that.
Well, we don't have any cohesiveness on dining together most of the time. No. Is the issue there? That is.
Actually, I think I do think some of them get together and.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so. I think even some of them travel together and stuff, which is fine. I'm not criticizing. I'm just.
Hey, I was collegial. I took Michael Katz a cake on Friday.
Oh, that was nice of you.
Katz won the APSE for best beat story for the year, and he had the Daily Journal had written about it. He had quote tweeted and said that he felt a little embarrassed and weird, but it was out there and thanked people or whatever. And I was mocking him on Twitter, and I was like, "So streamers, but no confetti." Like later on, and I was like, I'm not a complete jerk. We're gonna be nice. He goes, "No, just the cake's fine." So we had a cake on Friday in the press box at Swayze. We had a good time.
Did you get it decorated?
No, but it was good. It was fine. Yep. It was a chocolate chip. Yeah. It was all good there. So it's fine. Let's see. We'll go to some basketball, baseball. We'll do that after the break. First, you can buy St. Elmo's cocktail sauce. You can get it several different places over the internet, including straight from them. It's a phenomenal. You can put it on some prime shrimp. Primeshrimp.com. You can deliver directly to your door. Fewer than 10 minutes, freezer to plate. They have everything from their New Orleans style barbecue. It's my favorite flavor, the signature. It's a great garlic flavor that is perfect for everything, kind of all purpose there. And then their new soy ginger hibachi dinners, different proteins, rice, vegetables. Awesome with those. Also, code RG, 5 pouches or more, 25% off there with code RG. Again, primeshrimp.com, 25% off, code RG, primeshrimp.com.
We're brought to you by Argent Wealth. It's formerly Pinnacle Wealth. They are based in Ridgeland, Mississippi, have clients in more than 20 states. Argent provides detailed, specialized investment management, financial planning, retirement planning for individuals and businesses, and much more. At Argent, investing is treated like a commodity. Decisions are made using objective information and research, not emotions. So regardless of your level of wealth, they'll sit down with you, listen to your goals, study your expenses, and put forth a comprehensive, detailed financial and retirement plan built just for you. It's myargentwealth.com. We're brought to you by John Edwards, Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. Get in touch with John if you're trying to make a special trip, one that creates a lifetime of unique memories. He's got tons of options. He knows so many people and things and options from his time in the travel business. Just give him some parameters, give him a budget. He's going to give you options that you might not find and probably won't find on your own. And no, you don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of his services. 901-494-3387 or send him an email, jedwards@regencytravel.net. Oxford's newest Greek restaurant on the square, Opa, is the perfect place to plan your company dinner, your festive party event. They have fabulous food, great craft libations as well. They can accommodate up to 200 guests. Catering, booking information, contact Jeannie, 601-421-7147. We're brought to you by Service Specialist Staffing and Recruiting Agency. They've been connecting great job opportunities to candidates since 1967. If you're on the job hunt, whether you're seeking an entry-level position or you're a seasoned professional, they've got opportunities across the board for you. It's always free for the candidate. All conversations are kept confidential, so you've got nothing to lose by giving them a call. 662-832-5138 or check out their site, servicespecialistltd.com. And get the beautiful and healthy smile you deserve at Corinth Dental. Dr. Bubba McQueen, Dr. Jenny Beth Hendrick are devoted to restoring and enhancing the natural beauty of your smile using conservative, state-of-the-art procedures that will result in a beautiful, long-lasting smile. From routine checkups to advanced treatment, including implants and Invisalign, Corinth Dental is here to help you achieve your smile goals. So schedule an appointment today. Take the first step toward a better version of yourself. It's corinthdental.com.
Podcast is brought to you by Northeast Spark. That's NESPARC. 2 packages, the Ignite, the 100 Mbps, or the Blaze. The 1 gig that powers the Clark 4 studio. You've got it home as well. Your hometown team bringing you world-class broadband. That's nespark.com. 662-238-3159. Phone service, parental controls, network security, and much more. So to get the best internet in Lafayette County, that's 662-238-3159. We'll get to basketball in a second. I saw it mentioned there about SNL. I did not watch that thing, but I mentioned this on the message board a few days ago. I just stumbled into an episode of Fly on the Wall with David Spade and Dana Carvey. They were talking to Bill Simmons, and I put on the board that if you like SNL, and I'm familiar with it, I will watch the clips on YouTube. I mean, it's something in all of our lives because of the pop culture references and different things, but I have not been a steady SNL watcher except for a period in high school when it was female related in an attempt there. But beyond that, I have not been one of those things. But I found it fascinating. They had Bill Simmons on, and he is an SNL savant, and then paired with Carvey and Spade, they went through things that were really pretty incredible for about an hour and a half. And as I posted, if I taught a podcast class, it would be one of the 5 or 10 podcasts that I would make my students listen to, because Simmons completely derailed the interview. They were supposed to be interviewing him, talking about sports and podcasting, and within like 3 minutes, he goes, yeah, I don't really want to talk about me. I want to talk about SNL. And then he became the host. And Spade and Carvey's ability to adjust to that is very difficult to do when it's that extreme and that whatever. And they didn't force it. They let it play out. It was 3 really talented people doing a podcast together. And even with a topic I didn't necessarily care about, I was sort of fascinated and stuck on it for the hour and a half. So if you care about it at all, but if you don't, it's worth a recommendation and a listen there. But anyway,
it's one of the things that I have so much. This is not political at all. I have so much respect for Rogan and his ability to listen to completely different kinds of guests and not be distracted. He is like, there's a lesson there about being totally dialed in for those 2.5, 3 hours that he's doing a show with someone every single day. Not even, he's completely locked in. That's a talent, man. Mm-hmm. He doesn't look at anything else. You can tell he's not thinking about anything else. He's totally focused on that for 3 hours. It's amazing to me.
I've become a little more, I used to just kind of turn him on no matter what. I'm a little more guest dependent with him now. It depends who he's talking to. Sure.
Yeah, like if he has, a lot of times he has other stand-up comics on, and I typically don't listen to those.
No, I don't either.
He had a guest on last week. It was about therapy and children, and about how we're over-therapying our children, and she was fascinating. That was really intriguing. I'm not even finished with it. I'm hour and 40-something minutes in. It was. I caught myself going, yep.
I think she was on somebody else's pod that I listened to in the last couple of weeks too. I'll cross-check that name here when we get done. Ole Miss knocks off Missouri in a, I don't know, I guess strange game is the way to put it. 84-78, they're Rebels. In Columbia, Ole Miss was up by 21 at one point in this game. They outscored them 45-26 in the first half, and then Missouri just went on a complete run, shot the hell out of it. Ole Miss didn't play much defense in the second half. Flanagan only played 8 minutes the entire game with a hamstring issue, I believe is what Beard said following the game. Look, they survived. They have 2 games remaining in the regular season. They go to Georgia tomorrow night. They have Texas A&M at home on Saturday. The net is still in the 70s. I'm just having a hard time with a path, barring
With you.
several wins in Nashville, at least a couple. But we'll see. To keep even that alive, you've got to win 2 more and get to 9-9. So let's let the week play out, and then we'll talk about it when Monday gets here. But they did what they had to do. I don't know what Flanagan's status is for tomorrow night. They'll leave for Athens sometime today, but they got some good efforts. They hung in there. The Missouri crowd was not great by any means, but it was bigger than usual because they had several things going on. They were doing the Cotton Bowl thing. They had their the former coaches. The fundraiser was during that game too. Is it Ryan? Is that her name? I forget the name of the fundraiser.
Rylan,
they had all those things going on. Rylan, okay. They were doing all those different things, so it upped the crowd a little bit. But again, Ole Miss won. That's kind of where it is right there. I don't have a lot of other analysis unless you would like to take it into that.
No, it was interesting. So I had that game on. Carson had soccer Saturday in Memphis. I went to that. I didn't stay for his second game for another reason that I'm not going to get into here and embarrass him. But I was home, and so I had it on, and Ole Miss won the game, and I almost was like stunned at the post game. And I realized that it's the SEC network, and it's like, hey, we got to do an hour here, guys. Let's just talk. And so the question was, if Ole Miss gets to 9-9, are they in? And this answer, and I can't remember who was in the studio.
Was it Nori Nokwa?
Yeah, but it was one of the analysts was like, yes, in for sure. And I was like, wait, what? At 9-9? Just in. And I'm like, your net's going to be 70.
Yeah.
And their net yesterday, it was 78, I think. So that would be a win at Georgia, who's got a net in the hundreds right now, like 107 or something, 103. I don't know. It's not good. And it would be a win at home against Texas A&M, be a Tier 2 win. Texas A&M's net's like 54 today.
Yeah.
I don't agree. But I was like, but okay, you want to give me a free week of content? Great. Here's the deal for Ole Miss in an absolute nutshell. They must win both games this week. And then they're going to get to Nashville, and frankly, you need to play a good team. I don't think stacking mid wins up is going to get you in. But maybe I'm wrong. I mean, look, last year, Mississippi State got in at 8-10. Arkansas got in at 8-10. But now Arkansas's net last year was like 19. Mm-hmm. They had a really good schedule, and they won some big non-league games. I don't remember Mississippi State's case. It was bubbly as hell. I think they got sent to Dayton, right? State?
I don't remember.
I can't remember. But look, I wrote this in 10 thoughts. It's a new era. Maybe they don't lean on the net as much as everyone says. They did take a couple of teams last year with nets in the 60s, if I recall. Maybe you can get in. Then a couple of years ago, Texas A&M won a bunch of tournament games, went all the way to the finals, didn't win, didn't get in. I don't know. You're in the conversation. Ole Miss's argument would be let's give them 2 wins this week, because obviously if they lose one of these 2 games, this is immaterial. Their argument would be, okay, we're 22-9, 9-9. What bad loss do we have? And the answer to that is, well, you don't really have a bad loss. The only, quote, bad loss would be at LSU, and LSU has gotten their net where it's okay. Their net's in the 80s right now. It's not a disaster loss. You lost twice to Auburn, big deal. They have a great net. You lost to Alabama, great net. You lost to Kentucky, whose net's right around 20 right now. You'd have a win over Mississippi State, who's got a good net. State's net's like in the low 30s. You've got a win over Florida, whose net is in the 20s. You'd have 2 wins over Texas A&M. You'd have a win over Memphis, who's kind of Jekyll and Hyde right now. Memphis is that weird team that could go Sweet 16 or lose first round of the American. But you have that win. So you've got some lines on your resume, and you don't have any just giant zit on your face either. You're just kind of there. And so I guess if you went to Nashville and let's say you played LSU or Mississippi State or somebody in a first-round game on Thursday and won it and then lost to one of the big four on Friday in a quarterfinal, and I guess you'd have a case. You'd be
23-10.
23-10. I guess you'd be on the bubble. Your net, you could get your net into the 60s. You have a shot. So if you're looking for something, there it is. I don't know that the resume is strong enough. I think you're a game short somewhere, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. And look, if that scenario played out where they won twice this week and then won on Thursday and they're playing Alabama, Kentucky, Auburn, Tennessee in a quarter on Friday, I mean, I think in that moment, hey, you're in with a win, and which is a hell of a lot better than you've been for a long time. So at least you'd have something to be excited about. I mean, to me, that's kind of the story, but
that's 3 more wins away.
And I think what happens is, and this is what's interesting, and someone said this to me yesterday, and I went, at first I was like, oh, come on. And then I went, oh, that's a good point. We watch every game, and we've watched these last 7 games where they frankly haven't played very well, and we've kind of been like, they're not very good. The committee hasn't watched every one of these games. There's no way that they can watch every Ole Miss game, every Texas A&M game, every St. Bonaventure game, every Memphis game, every Providence game. That's impossible. So they're just looking at scores and seeing things, and they might look at Ole Miss's body of work, like I just said, in that scenario and go, you know what? That's a perfect team to send to Dayton. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, whatever. I mean, it's conceivable, but you must win Tuesday, and you must beat Texas A&M on Saturday for any of this to even be remotely relevant.
Yeah, I mean, you got 2 more games you got to win. And look, I'm not even moving the crossbars. You got to 20. I mean, it has not been a bad year considering what the past years have been. This is kind of where everybody thought you would be. Frankly, everything beyond this is better than expected when you looked at the preseason. We're just being completely real here.
Yeah.
Tennessee knocked off Alabama in Tuscaloosa on Saturday, 81-74.
That was a good game, man. That was a good game. 2 good teams. Tennessee, I know we're going to do this deal about Tennessee in the first weekend and Rick and blah, blah, blah. I don't know that they've had a Dalton Connect kind of player there for a while. And he makes everybody else, he elevates everybody else's game because he puts them in the proper role. To me, they look legit. To go into Coleman on Saturday in that environment against that team and to play as well as they did on both ends of the floor, I thought it spoke volumes about Tennessee.
They, at one point, I think, kept Alabama from a field goal for 9 minutes. I think that's right. That team.
That team. With so many weapons on that team.
Auburn and Mississippi State, 78-63. The Tigers over the Bulldogs. It went to script. Auburn's really good at home. They won a game by 15 there against the Bulldogs.
I thought it was
go ahead.
A big win for Auburn. Because State's good, and State's been playing really well. And Auburn, pardon the pun, kind of bullied them a little bit.
Yeah.
And it felt like it was more than just home court. That's my observation. Just felt like it was a little bit more than home court going on there.
111-102, Kentucky over Arkansas. The Wildcats 11-5, playing good basketball right now and just scoring the hell out of it. Arkansas, give them credit. They hung in there at Rupp for pretty much the entire game. Dillingham went kind of nuts as Kentucky pulled away late.
Arkansas had a 9-point lead with like 6 minutes to go. And then Kentucky just went off. I mean, they have so many weapons. And I thought that was a big moment for them because they looked like they were headed towards an L there. Like an embarrassing L. What the hell? What are we doing, L? You know what I mean? Like, how do you lose to Arkansas at home in March? How does that happen? And it looked like it was about to happen, and then they just turned it on. And they were dominant the last 5-6 minutes of that game.
And then a well-played basketball game, good basketball game between two good teams. South Carolina wins again. They're now 12-4 in the SEC, only one back of the conference lead. They knock off Florida 82-76. Florida 10-6 in the SEC after the loss in Columbia. Just good game there. Couple other ones that happened.
We're not giving them enough credit for how resilient they've been all year. We've written them off. We're doing that media thing that we do because they were supposed to be bad and they're good. And we just keep waiting for them to regress to the mean. I'm guilty of it too, and they're not. They didn't. That was a really good win for them against a pretty good Florida team.
Look, I'm not predicting it. Somebody told me this the other day, and they're right, a friend of mine. We kept talking about South Carolina regressing, and frankly, Ole Miss is the one that regressed. Ole Miss may find it for a week here and get to 9-9, but of the two, they're the ones that look more like kind of what you feared when you looked at that roster and what could be the case of it over the last 3 or 4 weeks. So...
yeah, I mean, Ole Miss has not played as well in the second half of the SEC schedule as they did the first. It's not even just results. They just haven't played as well.
I mean, if they get to 9-9, you could always do this thing where you send them to Dayton and let them play Texas.
Sure.
Yeah. Just get a game of interest there to the national public.
That's what they try to do, and I have no problem with that. As much as they pay for the TV, I have no problem with them manipulating a few matchups to get something dramatic. And Chris Beard going against his former team in Dayton. Sure. I can, if I'm TV, I can sell that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Podcast brought to you in part by G&M Pharmacy, 662-236-2222. Also with Tyson Drugs in Holly Springs, 662-252-2321. They deliver locally in the Oxford area, and they offer MedSync to fill your prescriptions the same day each month. Take care of you. One trip to the pharmacy, one delivered. You have everything you need when you need it with G&M. So again, give them a call. Let them help you out with all your pharmaceutical needs. Again, that's 662-236-2222.
Are you a displaced corporate executive wanting to put your career in your own hands? Are you an experienced entrepreneur looking to diversify? Either way, Andy Ludicky can help. He owns multiple franchises and businesses. He uses his expertise to help others find their American dream through a very thorough and free consultation process. So call Andy, put your life and your career in your own hands. It's 100% free. You've got nothing to lose. MyPerfectFranchise.net, Andy at MyPerfectFranchise.net, or you can call him on his cell, 404-973-9901. Southern Traditions Farm is a 68-acre, 32-stall upscale equestrian training and boarding facility in Canton, Mississippi. 2 sand rings, a grass ring, miles of wooded trails. So much offered at Southern Traditions. Horseback riding offerings from beginner lessons to advanced to competing in nationally recognized competitions. It's also a great venue for events, corporate outings. So get in touch with them on Facebook or Instagram at Southern Traditions Farm. Are you ready for the ultimate college experience? Welcome to College Town, Oxford. It's your new home away from home. They know you want the best. That's exactly what they offer. No more long commutes or missing out on campus events at Ole Miss. It's right next door to the university, offering spacious 2, 3, 4, and 5 bedroom cottages, each with individual leases because they believe in flexibility and simplicity. Their incredible amenities will help make you feel like you're living in a resort. So whether it's a weekend binge watching session or hosting the best game day parties, you can do it in comfort and style at College Town, Oxford, 662-300-3733. And I'll have a mailbag up on Wednesday. It'll be brought to you by Art Hayes of Sotheby's International Realty. Are you thinking of making a move? Put the power of Sotheby's International Realty to work for you. As a licensed agent with Sotheby's International Realty and a supporter of all things Ole Miss, Art can help you buy or sell in your hometown or anywhere in the world at no charge to you. Seriously. Call and ask Art how. 612-805-5929 or email Art at Arthur, ARTHUR.Hayes, HAYS, at lakesmn.com.
So Friday was a bit of an abomination, but Ole Miss did win the weekend, knocking off Iowa 2 out of 3, winning Saturday, winning Sunday. Put a 4-1 week together overall, something they needed. Iowa is a weird team. They're picked to win the Big Ten. Big Ten's not a great baseball conference. Iowa has 3 really good starting pitchers. Iowa has better starting pitching than Ole Miss. They would trade. Iowa has better starting pitching than a lot of SEC teams. They were really, really, really talented on the mound with those 3. When I say they had nothing else, they had one pretty good reliever, a kid who threw on Friday night, and their bullpen was god awful beyond that. Completely as advertised, couldn't throw strikes. I give Ole Miss credit because sometimes it's hard to be patient when someone is just nowhere near the plate and you're having to take, and then if something comes in there, hit it and all this stuff. Thought they battled okay. I thought outside of JT Quinn, who was not very good on Friday night, the pitching was pretty good. Gunnar Dennis did a nice job hanging in there. On Saturday, Quinn didn't do a good job. Friday, Dennis hung in there as much as anything else. Sonye was good yesterday. He goes five scoreless. He threw strikes. He was good. Kind of fought through a 26-pitch inning there in the first. And you look at it, they didn't allow an earned run from the first inning on Saturday until the 8th or 9th inning on Sunday. So they had a big stretch there without really shutting down an Iowa team that's not crazy talented, but they do the little things well. They do hit a lot of hit and runs. They play some small ball. They're not a bad team. I think just because they have a Big Ten logo, sometimes people completely discount them in baseball, but they're fine. Ole Miss shows flashes. Are they there? No, they're not. I'm not going to make more of it than it was after winning 2 out of 3, but they are better than they're playing. I thought that last week. I still believe that right now. We'll see what that means when they get into league play. They got Morehead State this weekend, and then they open league play at home against South Carolina before heading to Knoxville for 3 the week after that. But I don't know. I thought there were more good signs than bad signs. If you're Ole Miss, it's still offensively the struggles to get the big hit. Again, they walked a ton because Iowa was going to walk you. They got hit a lot. I think they had like 5 sacrifice flies over the course of the weekend, which is just kind of indicative of what I'm saying. They couldn't get the hit, even though they had the bases loaded constantly over the course of the weekend. I mean, yesterday, Iowa was having their meeting after the game or whatever, and they're meeting in left field, and their coach, he told the team to turn around and look at the scoreboard, and he said, they had 5 hits. He was talking about Ole Miss. He goes, they had 5 hits and only 2 left the infield. They had 2 hits that left the infield, and you allowed 8 runs. And he was yelling at them about that and basically told them not to speak a word until they got to Missouri on the bus, was his final comment to them yesterday as they were headed out of Oxford. But that's true. Eli Birch was the only player to get a hit out of the infield yesterday for Ole Miss. He hit a home run and also had a single. During the course of the game, they had 3 other infield singles, and that was it. Everything else was walks and hit by pitch and stuff. So it was a weird series, but they probably at least got a little bit of momentum. They're starting to pick up things in some ways, but the starting pitching has got to give them more of a chance. I mean, even if your bullpen's pretty good, if you can't get to the bullpen, it just doesn't matter. Mallets was excellent again. Austin Simmons was excellent again. He faced 6 batters in 2 scoreless innings on Saturday. I still don't know what you're doing with him because of football exactly, but it's real. The stuff is very, very real. It plays at this level, so it's at least something to follow. If you told me that 2 of the 3 starters are different in 2 weeks, I would buy it. I think that's kind of where we're sitting right now and what it looks like. I mean, and look, they came up off the deck. Friday night was a really weird emotional game for a team that has struggled with emotions and has struggled to kind of get some continuity because they battle back, they tie a game after they were way behind in the 8th, and then at the top of the night, they give up a 6th spot after I still think Ethan Groff caught the ball. It was a diving catch. They ruled it a catch on the field. They overturned it to a single on review, and at minimum, I couldn't find where there was enough to overturn. Even if you want to argue that it hit the ground, I didn't see an overturn possibility there, and they just sort of fizzled after that. There's an argument that if he catches that ball, they probably win the game in the bottom of the ninth, and all that stuff doesn't happen kind of the way it did because they didn't respond well after that. But either way, they take 2 out of 3 from Iowa. They get Memphis on Tuesday night. And then, again, Morehead State this weekend. So another chance to kind of get healthy, keep trying to find yourself a little bit heading into next week for that. You mentioned Sed and DeAndre. I saw DeAndre had a really good 40 time, too. I guess those guys did okay, or at least as advertised in the combine over the weekend.
Yeah, I think they both helped themselves. DeAndre can really run. I mean, there's some questions about some of his coverage stuff, but he can really run. And Cedric is one of those guys that I think if he gets an NFL opportunity, he'll end up doing well for a franchise as a kind of a depth piece. But we'll see. I mean, apparently did not have a great Senior Bowl week, but had a really good combine is what I've heard.
The Phillies and Zach Wheeler have agreed to a 3-year, $126 million extension to keep the pitcher in Philadelphia.
I'd harbored some hope there.
126
for 3 years.
For 3 years.
Wow. $42 million a year for Zach Wheeler.
Yeah.
Good day to be him.
We opened the show with a little bit of Iowa women's basketball talk. They had 14,000 plus there for Caitlyn Clark, setting that record as I'm doing it in quotes here. But the bigger thing for TV,
the record. There you go.
Yeah. The bigger thing is for TV. That was a big win for Iowa yesterday. In all seriousness, they beat Ohio State. Ohio State won the Big Ten, but Iowa will move up a little bit on the line because they were in danger of being the 2 seed in South Carolina's regional priority yesterday. So that probably moves them up enough now, no matter what happens the rest of the way, for TV to avoid that in the bracket, and you have the chance of getting them both in the Final Four. So that was what was a little bit of a seeding thing. Had they lost yesterday, there would have been a real danger of jumping into the Carolina bracket as the 2 seed, and they do not want Carolina and Iowa in the Elite Eight. So.
No,
that would have been one where you just switch a line real quick. Just, hey, we're going to do this instead. That's not the move there. So
no, they want Iowa, LSU in one semifinal, and South Carolina somebody in another semifinal.
Yeah, that's the hope. So, and they want Carolina and Iowa in the final.
Yeah.
Caitlyn and her roster trying to take down the behemoth.
I don't think they could.
Carolina's good. Carolina's real good. So anyway, that is the extent of my women's basketball knowledge. But
so the hot take will be when Iowa doesn't win the national championship. See, she can't win a ring.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Like that's the one where I'm like, all right, that's so stupid. It's so hard to win a championship in anything.
Put her on Carolina's team; they'll win a ring.
Yeah, if she were on LSU's team, they'd win a ring?
Yeah.
I mean, if Caitlyn Clark played at Ole Miss, they'd be a national title contender.
Yeah, 100%. Ole Miss has a much better supporting cast than Iowa does.
I hate that. Like, we don't do that with Dan Marino.
John Elway.
Charles Barkley. I mean, Elway won.
Elway. I'm sorry. Yeah. Jim Kelly's who I was thinking of. Sorry.
Yeah, Jim Kelly didn't win a ring. Yeah. Is anyone questioning his greatness?
Yeah.
I mean, Ryan Sandberg never won a ring. He had a hell of a career. Well, there's a lot of examples of that.
Yeah. So, Ole Miss women's basketball, speaking of, they did clinch the 3 seed with a complete dismantling of Arkansas yesterday. They will be the 3 seed in the SEC tournament behind South Carolina and the aforementioned LSU. So that is where they are. It's where they're sitting again, 12-4 in the SEC to close it out. They have played really well after getting beat by A&M at home a few weeks ago in that one. So Rebel Grove in the meantime, got some baseball stuff coming your way. We've got basketball, got more as well as the week moves on. Another podcast tomorrow. So I hope all of you have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you again very soon.